and the ancestors are looking out for us. Rod Hayes is exposing them, man.
Okay, you see that chair right there? See how big it is?
Yeah.
Now look at the Pope chair under it. Scroll down, look at the Pope chair under
Never have it been made so clear.
Young TV. Young.
We running the game right now.
Young TV.
Time to take over.
Young
We the hottest in the game. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. If you just not tuned in.
TV.
Share, like on your Instagram, Facebook.
Young TV.
If you tuned in, we broadcasting live from 2030, baby.
Young TV. Young
Taking over the game, baby. Oh yeah.
Young TV.
Hit that like.
Young TV.
Get them likes up in the air, you heard me?
Young TV.
Ride by. Hotel Islam.
Young TV.
Assalamu alaikum. Flown lesson.
Young TV.
Hit that like.
Hey man, we in here, man. We live, we lit. This is hey, they let us cock and load for this one, man, because we were supposed to hit them Sunday, but they let us cock some, load the gun up some more, man. No, Big Mama don't keep but 2 bullets in her gun. We put, I don't know, put 2, 3 more over there. Hey, we loaded that mug on up to the fullest, went in the backyard while Big Mama went into town, and we bust that mug and shot a whole limb out the tree, right? The uncle, he in the woods. We didn't know he was back in the woods doing something. He heard the gun go off. He snitched on him. Told Big Mama we shot a gun. You know what I'm saying? Big Mama got a big ass 44 Magnum, nigga, with a big ass chrome motherfucker. Like, and she got it wrapped in a cloth in the bottom drawer. Yeah, we stole it up out of there. Yeah, I'm telling you, man. Blew up me and my brother. We got to whoop it though. We blew that whole goddamn limb out of the tree with that 44 though, man. Trying to hold both of us in there trying to hold it. That's how big it was. But yeah, Rod noticed the agents, noticed the principal, man. We on the land. I've been going out across the land, listening to all the chiefs and the complaints that they're getting from the people. And I kind of put this Q&A, it's really a Q&A together based on it, all the questions they've been getting. Shout out that boy Chief Top Cat down in Houston, holding it down. Shout out Chief Red of the Alabama tribe. Shout out Chief Warhorse, Mama Rabbird. Chief Black Eagle, free Chief Black Eagle Thunderbird, Dr. Malachi New York, free the L Rookin, Jeff Fort, free Larry Hoover, Chief Larry Hoover. So you already know what time it is, how we coming. Right? So Roy, you want me to go ahead? How you want to do it, Roy? You want to say something before I bust them? We on ahead bust them?
Set the stage for the rage.
Hey man, look. Hey, say less. Hey, say less. I got the action right here, man. Let's go on. Let's get down to it. We're going to start out with this part first, though. All right, let's see. So I want to get into this DNA thing first, what they talking about. All right, so we got them all up here. Yeah, because it's the people going around. They going and attacking, talking about the, I got a DNA test, and they say I'm African or whatnot. So we want to play these clips about these DNA thing. Okay, hold on. Man, I hope they loading me up. All right, we know we're going to just start from the top.
Who said that? Who said that? I'd like an apology right now because I didn't say that.
Imus opened the broadcast, so, excuse me, Mr. Imus said that.
Okay, could I please have an apology?
You can have an apology.
Thank you, sir.
And then you went on to, is this you discussing Indian blood? We're going to judge people by whether they have Indian blood, whether they're qualified to run a gaming casino or not?
That probably is me, absolutely. Because I'll tell you what, if you look at some of the reservations that you've approved, you, sir, in your great wisdom have approved, I will tell you right now, they don't look like Indians to me, and they don't look like the Indians. Now, maybe we say politically correct or not politically correct. They don't look like Indians to me, and they don't look like Indians to Indians, and a lot of people are laughing at it, and you're telling how tough it is, how rough it is to get approved. Well, you go up to Connecticut, and you look. Now, they don't look like Indians to me, sir.
Breaking news, Trump administration.
We're not indigenous. Probably related to every person in the world in recent times. Far East and Middle East and so on. We have a tribal president as Vietnamese. We identify as a people that were placed here as a peaceful people.
I can sit back and see that this isn't good for anybody. We're not getting deported. We can't.
What you mean you ain't getting
Our
deported?
Cousins might. Yeah.
All that stuff y'all didn't
back to Mexico, back where they came from. People that are getting deported are only going back to where they lived.
So the Apache Reservation in San Carlos, Arizona, I'm getting messages straight directly to me that ICE is not only raiding the Navajo Nation, but the Apache
So what that other
Nation
guy was talking about, that
in San
clown.
Carlos, Arizona.
Yeah.
And the reason that they're not putting anything out is because evidently ICE, the feds, whoever you want to say, are monitoring TikTok. And that they're using that to target people.
Happy Monday, everybody. I guess it's deportation day for everybody, regardless if you're what your status is or if you're a criminal or not. It's so crazy what's happening right now. I think that it is so fucked up, honestly. And all of the immigration things that are happening with ICE going to the Indian schools that are on the Indian reservations and then going into the Indian reservation and then questioning people there because of their skin tone and everything else. But larger concern is a lot of those elders and a lot of those children that they're interacting with, they don't speak English. English isn't their first language. Go to a part 2. Sorry, I forgot to fucking click the time.
I live down in Welch, Minnesota. I live on an Indian reservation. Prairie Island Indian Reservation. I'm Dakota. Right now, ICE is all over Red Wing, Hastings. They're parked on hills. They're parked on side streets. They're watching. They're pulling people over randomly. Now they mess with Native Americans.
This our land.
Our kids can't even go to school. Today, 50 families in Red Wing pulled their kids out of school because they're scared. Yeah. What's up with that? So we gotta stay organized in these streets. Remember, if you see something happen, the best way you can protect them, if you're gonna record, stand still. You need still recordings. Spread out. So there's no lies about, oh, he was in the way. He got hit by a truck. No. Your phone is gonna...
Stop assuming ICE can't operate on tribal land. This misunderstanding can get you hurt or detained. And no, knowing your rights does not make you hostile. If you're on the Cherokee Nation reservation and you encounter ICE, here are some things you actually need to know to protect yourself. First, ICE is a federal agency. Federal law enforcement can operate in Indian country. This is not optional and it's not new. Second, you still have rights. You do not have to answer questions beyond identifying yourself. You do not have to consent to searches. You can say, I choose to remain silent and I would like to speak to a lawyer. Say it once, say it firmly, and then stop talking. Third.
You guys are on property. This is all my street. They ain't supposed to be on property, man. You guys can't be on property, man. Copy ICE on property.
You think all brown people look alike? Yeah.
You guys can't be on property though.
All right, yeah, you're right. Okay, that's the first section. Based on what you sent me, the receipts you sent me, and then based on that one, I saw. Well, I heard about Trump where he said that they don't look like Indians. Now they raising and sending these people back to Siberia, wherever they come from, man. So this is a two-part question that I have for you. The first part of it, I actually split it. The first part of the question is that it's people that's going around now that think that since they calling us pretendians, the people that's reclaiming they shit, us, they calling us pretendians, and they say that y'all pretendians because y'all ain't on the reservation. They saying that we pretendians because we ain't on the reservation. Could you break down the paradigm on that, Rod?
That's like saying you ain't black because you ain't in prison.
Damn. Go ahead, write this shit down, Rod. Oh, I'll be dropping it. Damn. Yeah, so yeah, they saying that the reservation is the real Indian because they federally recognized by the government. And where's your federal recognition? Go ahead.
Government, we all know that the Dawes Roll was the government manufacturing tribes by replacing us with people that they brought from somewhere else.
Right.
We already know that. That's a proven fact.
Right.
Most of us didn't go on the Indian train, what they call the Trail of Tears, because we wasn't with that bullshit.
Right.
So you see when a man said they took 50 people took their babies out of them schools because they don't trust them. That's smart. You know that it's a high probability of some shenanigans going on at the school, and you still volunteer to send your child, you sacrificing your child to the system. And if you don't understand it, all you got to take your mind out of your day-to-day life and look at the bigger picture. They programming you to send your sheep to the slaughter. So they don't have to take credit for it. That's why parents sign permission slips.
That's right. That's right. And these so people don't know that the reservations was set up where they gave these $5 Indians our rights through the Dawes Rolls and all that. We gotta get into that. And the Curtis Act that comes later. I see like this line of game once the Empress and them got they land back. The Louisiana Purchase, I see they start running all kind of games after that, like the Curtis Act and the Civil War and the Freedmen's Bureau, all these different things. Now, this the next part of the question. Now, okay, so people are asking, well, then who are if we ain't the pretendians, and then the people on the reservation are the pretendians, who are these people, and how they getting all the rights and getting paid by the federal government, hush money essentially? How they getting paid and getting all? Listen, you just walking around still going around saying you an Indian, you don't got no recognition, you don't got nothing, you don't got no money from the government. This is what the Africans saying to us. What do you think about that,
But
bro?
the ones that's on the reservation that's making money, them paid actors.
Go ahead.
They got to compensate them for their image and liking and the misrepresentation of the actual people.
Go ahead.
Right? But behind some of those reservations, there's people that look like us that you don't even know is on a board of trustees.
Right.
Right? Most of us don't know that the kids' brand Oshkosh Bagosh is named after a chief. Right? And all of these tribal codes is in plain sight for us to find our way back home. Right? So we put the codes, this is the Mississippian tribal culture. It's the root culture of the land. It's the juju of the land. It's the magic that controls the energy flow on the land. So every major node, what you call major city, you will find us there. No no matter how whitewashed the city is with immigrants, if we ain't there, the city becomes a ghost town. It don't have a soul no more. So they have to incorporate us in it without telling us why they incorporating us. In order to keep the energy nodule active. So they can live their life at our expense. It's energy harvesting at its finest.
Yeah, fucking straight up. Number top is the top shelf, goddamn it.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to this next section, Rod. This next section is gonna be on the DNA because they coming out to us, the Africans coming out to us saying that I got a DNA test from the white man, and it said that I'm an African, and I got mostly African. And so, where's your proof that you're a Native American? Go ahead.
You know, we did a whole segment on that, a whole 2 hours, and talking about how it was for entertainment purposes only. Anything for entertainment purposes can be altered to fit the narrative that's being used for the entertainment.
Right.
They don't test enough of your genome to really give you an accurate designation of where you're from.
Hell yeah.
They're testing like 0.01% of your DNA to tell you that your ancestors came from somewhere far away.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
What
bullshit.
you telling me? What
Mhm.
do you niggas say? We from this land. We from the southern parts of the land, made from all of that ruddy red clay. They told us the story and scrambled it up and think we never figure it out. But when you put them country boys on the trail, they like that coon dog. They don't never stop till they root that son bitch out.
We got their ass. I got their ass now. Oh yeah. Hey, let me roll these clips then to go along, and then we'll come back on the ad libs on it. I got some clips on the DNA thing.
Roll the corn.
When we gave Oprah was finally in the first series, and we gave her a DNA test. Basically, the next day she went to South Africa to announce that she was opening what became the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy. She was in an auditorium like 75,000 people or something, and she announced that she just had the test and that she was Zulu. So it broke on CNN. I was sitting in my living room minding my own business and said, Oprah Winfrey's a Zulu. So I called Rick Kittles, and I said, Rick, did you tell Oprah she was a Zulu? He goes, no, man, she made that up herself. It's a true story. It's a true story. I would lie to make you laugh, but I'm telling you a true story. So I said, Rick, are you in your lab? He said, yeah. I said, is anybody there? He said, no. I said, when the results come in, make her Zulu, man. You know? I said, you back there making it up anyway. Nobody believe you could take some spit and figure out a tribe? What are you, crazy?
So these DNA tests for ethnicity are entertainment value only.
William Gilliland is a biology professor at DePaul.
When I handed Vi the certificate, she got extremely emotional about it. She wept, and it meant so very much.
People want to believe.
They want to believe they've gotten an answer.
And it's not fair of us to let them believe that we're giving them certain answers, because scientifically, we just can't.
Hank Greeley is concerned that the science isn't really there yet for you to be giving them the name of a tribe.
I think for most companies, I would be concerned too.
But what about your own company?
We have
He
the
didn't
largest...
exclude you. He included you.
But we have the largest set of sequences from Africa. And so with that, we're able to provide some level of probability in terms of frequency.
But he would say that even though you have the largest database, it's still small on the scope of things.
As I said, I share those concerns.
About yourself.
Our DNA.
And that's the rub. This business of genetic genealogy is fraught with limitations. For one thing, it can only provide information about a tiny fraction of our ancestry. Because we get half our DNA from our mothers and half from our fathers, almost all of our DNA gets shuffled and remixed every generation, making it impossible to trace what comes from whom. There are just 2 bits of DNA that remain pure: the Y chromosome, which passes directly from father to son, and something called mitochondrial DNA, which passes unchanged from mother to child. Hank Greeley, a law professor at Stanford University, has studied this new field. He worries that people don't realize just how many ancestors they actually have.
8 generations ago, both you and I had 256 great-great-great-great-great-great-grandparents.
Wait, you're saying that if you go back 8 generations, we have 200...
I mean,
these DNA tests for ethnicity are entertainment value only.
William Gilliland is a biology professor at DePaul.
These are your DNA results. Now, first thing I have to say is that...
All right, so yeah, pretty much they are the professors, everybody saying this for entertainment purposes only. It's pretty much only for your amusement. So it's actually the reason why I brought that up, Rod, because it's actually brothers. I was listening to Chief Top Cat, one of his tapes, and some brothers was going at him saying they got proof of DNA from the white man, and they using that to say, "Oh, I'm African," and where's your DNA to prove that you a Native American? You know what I'm saying? What's your thoughts on that, bro?
Listen, man, we know our bloodlines, where we come from. Yeah. I could trace my mama's bloodline back to southeastern Mississippi. Around Macomb, Mississippi, Magnolia, Tyler Town, all that down there. Yeah. That's where our tribal mix-up took place with the government when they changed us out on paper. Mm-hmm. Right? When my grandfather passed away, they tricked his widow out of his estate. Mm-hmm. And they built all kind of shit on his personal property. But they can't, that was a non-transferable deed. Mm. Right? So I know where my mama's estate was locked up at. I know my father from Canton, Mississippi, just a little ways outside of Jackson. Down in Canton, we had what's called the Hayes plantations, which was the family farms. They had a lot of the elders had sharecropping agreements with the cracker. Mm. And that's how a lot of us lost our land on my father's side, through the sharecropping. Mm. And even that, you can only hold it for so long because it still was a non-transferable deed. The men didn't have the jurisdictional right to sell the land or contract to lose the land permanently. They was only could be contracted to rent the land or lease the land for a period of time till somebody comes back and redeem the land. Mm-hmm. Right? And we had to, so we use the oral traditions. Right? A lot of us don't understand how we was before 1492 because all of the shenanigans was given to us using that as a standard of the timeline. That's when the invaders made their presence known and their intentions. That was under the Columbus. Those were the conquistadors. Mm-hmm. Right. They was the ones in the process of being kicked out of Spain. Right? And then and they Huguenots was getting kicked out of France, culminating in the French Revolution for the same thing and a continuation of that expulsion of the Moors from Europe. Mm-hmm. So the ones in France, the Huguenots doubled back to Switzerland. and set up banking shops, which allowed them to stay out of all of the wars. And they make them be the world's bank, which we call it the Swiss banking system. The Swiss banking system was based upon concealing the source of your income from government trying to tax you with capital gains tax, right? So it was originally a money shelter, always was from the time it was set up, because all of the major wars since the establishment have been funded out of the Swiss banking cartels.
Hey, hit that like, hit that subscribe button, y'all, if you're new to the channel. Hey, Rod, you said something about oral tradition, and I got a question about that, because I was thinking the other day. I was like, man, people's asking me what a lot of the stuff I be getting, I don't get it out of books. I got a lot of stuff out of books, but a lot of stuff I got from oral tradition, from hearing somebody say it, from my grandma teaching me, my grandpa, my dad. Now, so on the land, we had a trade. They got two different types of schools, right? I believe the trading school was our school, and then this new type of school, this university, Rockefeller shit, General Board at 12 years of slavery, and then 4 more years of slavery in college. I think, what do you think about the oral tradition of the father teaching the son? What, like, say, if your father was a barber, he taught you how to barber. For the people down in Texas, that's the grillers, that's the cooks, like the cooks, right? You said that the last name Cooks, right? They people taught them how to cook, and so, but it was passed down through observing and all tradition. I think people learn better about all our people, like it's the natives. We learn better through all tradition and looking like hands-on, more hands-on. What is your take on that with the trade school versus the university? Well, how the millionaires, and half of them didn't even go to school. Really, most of them didn't even go to school. Billionaires and millionaires. So what is your take on our oral tradition, where you teaching your son what you know, and then he passing it on to his son?
Those were guilds. They were developed from what's called family tradition. And what they was doing when they instituted the guild, they was making sure that the craftsman was properly compensated by having an organized control over their workforce. This is what birthed your trade unions, right? Your trade unions became your workers' unions. And then they started joining forces to add power to the laborer, the slave. The slave is demanding compensation from the master that's exploiting them, because the exploitation is making them chase a carrot on a stick. And that the pangs of poverty is letting them know they're doing all this hard work, and then they were seeing the upper class all cushy and shit. So now they have to institute a buffer in the middle, and this is created with what's called your skilled trades programs. Right? Those skilled trades used to be taught in high school: automotive, wood shop, steel shop, home economics, teach you how to cook, clean, and all that stuff. You don't teach none of that no more. Those are skilled trades. HVAC. I had some weird shit. I had candle making and all kind of shit, and I was in junior high school.
Candle making sound fire.
Yeah.
Part of our
we used to use the parental method to keep skilled trades in the family line. That's a family tradition. It was a way to keep the family's wealth intact. Because as long as you training your son to be a specialist, they're going to have to pay for a specialist when they need his service.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same as saying you could give them a fish or you could teach them how to fish.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then as the years go on, passing it down, the genetics start to help them figure out better ways to do shit.
Right. Go ahead, Rod. You going in?
Right, that's epigenetics, the programming of the body by bloodline carrying on the same function repeatedly. It
Kind of like
becomes,
Mayweather and his dad. The
yeah.
Mayweather and the Mayweather family. Yeah.
But normally the boxing gene don't pass down well because the comforts of the wealthy father spoils the son.
Yeah, you're right. Same thing in other sports too. Yep, you're right.
But Mayweather had the luxury of having a little small enough town, Grand Rapids, where they constantly tested him as a child. Because he's supposed to be a Mayweather, he's supposed to be good with his hands.
Right.
And we called that putting in work in the street. He was doing that long before he started Golden Gloves champ and all that shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you call yourself a Mayweather, you had to prove you had Mayweather skills.
Right.
All of them. Any one of them will tell you they grew up scrapping. They legendary in Grand Rapids for scrapping. Right? Because if you're going to be a Mayweather, you had to prove yourself to your community that you could carry that last name with pride.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what he changed his name, he ain't never dropped Mayweather.
Mm-hmm.
Family love. Solidarity across bloodline. One man could take the family on his back if he know where he's going, and to make it easier for us all to get there.
That's a good idea.
And that's why how you end up with the chiefs becoming the heads of the family. They rise up in the community without no political pump of glory.
Mm-hmm.
That's called putting in your community service.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hey, Ron, I'm gonna hook you up with this lady. Her name is I want her to come on. We're gonna eventually do a show with her. Her name is Chief V Indigenous. Man, she pretty dope. Shout out her if she watching. Let me roll some of these clips. So we got some clips to go. We gotta get this shit out so I can AI it right after, right? I'm gonna AI this all of this information.
1895 and 1896, when a lot of the whites found out the benefits that these Indians, that these blacks are going to be entitled to, a lot of whites went to the Dawes Commission and say, look, why don't you put my name on there? They said, but you're not an Indian. So that's what they said, well, I'll give you $5. So then the rule got around, the policy got around that for $5 that a white could put his name on the Dawes rolls and be called himself an Indian and be entitled to all these benefits, and all their children could be entitled to all these benefits forever. And so that became known as what's called a $5 Indian. And so if you go around now and check most of the Indians, the so-called Indians in America, about 90% of them are not even Indians. Those are just whites now who are passing as Indians. But they're getting all the benefits. And they're not paying any taxes, getting free college education. They put up a little reservation on the land that they don't live on. They have another home off and get all kind of benefits.
White people ran a finesse game in the early 1900s when they had something called the Dawes Rolls, where it was an Indian census. They had to bring the people in to get on the Indian roll to allot land to them. White people said, oh, you're giving away free land, and they got $5 and gave people $5 under the table and said, hey, list me as a Cherokee. And that's the term $5 Indian, meaning a fake Indian. So a lot of white people started pretending to be Native American. That was a real big thing in the early 1900s. You remember the Crying Indian, that commercial in the 70s? It was an Indian talking about pollution, and there was a tear going down his eye. Yeah, there was a very popular commercial.
I remember,
You remember that, Big? Remember that? Very popular commercial. That was a guy named Iron Eyes Cody. He was a big actor in the 1940s and 50s, big Native American representative. Turned out he wasn't even Native American at all. In the late 1800s, there was something called the Dawes Rolls, which was basically a census that made records of people's ethnic backgrounds in order to determine which Native American tribes would get certain land allotments and other benefits. After slavery, many black people were associated with some of these tribes by bloodline, through marriage, through adoption, and even servitude. And because they were associated...
Oh, like, I don't know about that clip, because they create this lie like these Siberians had us enslaved. That's a bunch of bullshit. That's a bunch of bullshit. But yeah, Rod, the $5 we already got 4 tapes breaking this down already. We already got 4 tapes breaking this down already. But these are the guys that's now some of them being rounded up by the videos we just played by ICE, essentially.
Yeah, they still know where they came from. They still got their records. They still know they brought them. A lot of them came over from the Khans. They was mercenary families that was raised under the Ottoman Empire. The Ottomans was the ones fighting the Hindus in the south, and they was fighting the Mongolians to the northeast. And this is who they was taking the spoils of war. The sons became the soldiers of the foreigner's army over time. As he conquered, he grew his military ranks from the villages that he conquered. And this is why they was going on those, what we call back then, they used to call them army raids. They kill off all of the adult men, take the teenage boys and younger, and train them for warfare. As a spoil of war, they was given access to capture certain wealth. So they was contracted to come over here with mercenary status. Right? The ones that they kicking off took sides with the colonizers. The ones they not harassing, that's the poorest of the poor, those the ones that took sides to keep certain stuff alive for us. So the government tried to oppress them out the same as us. Redline them, squash their reservations, flood them with alcoholism. Right? They know what they doing because they already been attacking us for 500 years. So why wouldn't they develop a strategy to continue their dominance? See, you got to remember, it's a long, drawn-out, protracted struggle, which means they had a long-term plan when they came in.
They had to.
And that long-term plan is mapped out under the pretense of a biblical prophecy. The unraveling of it coincide with stellar events so that you can read the blueprint, which is the storyline of the narrative of the show that you're watching, which is the blueprint for the hologram.
Right.
Just got to flip your Lucifer lens. They told us to upside down and backwards.
It's that we the chosen people, leaning levies, you know, we control the world for the background puppet game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the usurpers. Usurpers never come at you with a direct attack. They always try to slide up under you, literally. Cut your legs from under you, uproot your roots, and replace his roots where yours is at. That's called usurping the bloodline.
That's the damn show what they did, right?
So they telling you what they doing to you, swearing they not doing it all the time. Everything that they are doing is showing you they doing exactly what they said they was going to do. You in denial because they denying the fact that the shit that they doing, they are actually doing it in real time. Just like they mapped it out.
They show us everybody. I know this is where they run a psychological game, and they've been doing it for a long time. Every time they show you any indigenous people around the world, they always the lightest, whitest, pale people they can find. They never show you the real Nubian or dark-skinned indigenous people on that land, whether it's an island, whether like unless you go there. Like, look on TV, before I went to the Bahamas, before I went to Grand Turk. Grand Turk is a fucking island in the middle of nowhere, it seemed like. Look, before on TV, they show me white people, that these the people, right? Then when you get over there, it's a motherfucker black as night playing drums. You ask, hey, where y'all from? Oh yeah, we the indigenous people of this island. So there's some niggas. It ain't no white pale man. They showed you on the brochures and all this shit. They always like it's crazy. Like they did the Egyptian thing where they made everybody white. So what's your take? Is that
that's
white
for entertainment.
Okay, go ahead.
That's for the entertainment of the European to make him feel like he's doing something important.
Damn.
I keep telling you, it looked like the cracker running something. He's not running nothing. He's following orders that make it look like he's running something because they keep him out front, looking like a knight in shining motherfucking armor.
Right.
Right? He is the tall in the saddle, John Wayne, slick back, greasy hair mulatto. Coming to save the day.
Clint Eastwood looking motherfucker. Yeah, right. Unknown. That's the game. But let me go ahead. You finna say something?
Go ahead.
Now I'm gonna run some more clips, man. We gotta get them all out.
Settler colonialism is that distinct form of colonization characterized by the arrival of settlers who quickly come to regard a territory as something they are inheriting from their forefathers, as opposed to taking from indigenous people. Settler colonialism values indigenous land, not indigenous labor, or indigenous culture, or indigenous knowledge. Under settler colonialism, indigenous people are defined as a problem because they block access to valuable lands and resources. And once indigenous people are displaced by settlers, they additionally become labeled as people with problems. Problems, of course, that resulted from having been colonized.
Boy, they'll say some deep shit. Hold on, I got one more word.
What is the Homestead Act of 1862? The Homestead Act of 1862 was supposed
Hold on, before we get into the Homestead Act, let me go ask you a question about what the white boy said. So cellular colonialism is when they come in and these colonizers and they just like you just said, you just explained it with the Jacob usurping the root. They come in and replace you as the root, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they came in and then we was the problem. The problem was us. They solved the problem with paper genocide, reclassifying us as black, Negroes, and coloreds, and stealing our land. So, what's your take on that, Roy, on the cellular colonialism, where they come in and replace us, the colonizers replace us as the original people? That's what's happening, really, pretty much.
Right. See, that's the illusion of slavery. When they bring in these pale colonizers in, they're bringing in people from Europe, from all walks of life, homeless people, prostitutes, criminals,
right,
mentally insane, and they setting them up on the family farms,
right?
And they giving them managerial rights. This is how they finna take control of the farm. So then the Dirty Moor married Big Mama. Right? He pretend to be the keeper of the big house, the house nigga. But he really the one, he poisoned Big Mama so that he can get control of the deed to the land. When he get control to the deed of the land, he issues a sharecropping agreement to the management team. And that's how you end up with a plantation owner. Changing the birthright to a plantation. By switching it from the mother line of the tribes to the father line of the church.
Hey, Rod, what's your take? Because it's a lot of controversy, and hey, shout out that boy Hotel in the chat. it's a lot of controversy around the title Indian. Now, I didn't heard so many perspectives on it. The old I used to heard the master teacher Charles Sharif Bey say we weren't Indians. And then I heard the Duke say it break down into the in Latin people without God, meaning that but not necessarily that we didn't have no God, but we didn't have a God, the new Jesus, the new Nicene Council Jesus. We didn't have that Jesus, so therefore we were not without God, therefore making us Indians. Or I heard another perspective where Christopher Columbus thought he was in India, so he called us Indians. But I'm starting to think that there got to be some bullshit, because the place was called Hindustan at that time when he came. It wasn't even called India. And then I'm starting to get another perspective on it, and this is my last perspective. And then I ask my question that the word Indian, he said that that is in correlation with the Hindus. Now the Hindus had already mixed in with us over here before Columbus, so he could have said it because of that. But what's your take on that, Rod, on the us? Because some people are saying that we're not Indians. Go ahead. From indigo, which means dark blue, really, and dark blue ink that they use to tattoo guns. Go ahead, Rod.
That's the etymology of the word.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Indian is not a it's not a Sanskrit word to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Latin word.
Uh-huh.
So that means that it's something that referenced from a Spanish perspective.
Right. That's right. I can say that.
So that's telling you who's calling or remaking the term from their linguistic perspective, how they describe a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's a couple of disputes about what Christopher Columbus said. Some say he called us En Dios.
Yeah. Right.
In Spanish, that would mean the gods.
Right. Yeah, that's right, Rod. It sure would.
Then some people say he called us something we reference ourselves. Indigi. But he couldn't have been looking for India because India wasn't India yet.
That's right. It was hard.
So that tell you where the misnomer come in, what we call a historical bait and switch. Telling you the story from a retrospect that's taking place after other events. And then you merge the two historical timelines together like one thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Pretty clever.
Mm-hmm. It's game, because he also said that he saw because my African brothers seem to think that they wasn't over here for Columbus. They want to be beaten and snatched up out of the West Ivory Coast and on a hot ass ship for 30 days with no food and no salt, drinking salt water. Half of them wouldn't have made it drinking salt water, but they want to believe this narrative that they got beat like by Harpo and brought over here, man. And they saying, why don't you let us have that? What do you think about letting them have that narrative? Since they so much African.
That's could be the narrative that they live with. As long as they don't try to force me to believe that bullshit.
Right.
Everybody entitled to believe what they want to believe. They don't have to always agree with us. They could think they right and crash out in their own lane.
Right.
Right. But test of time gonna show who's telling the truth.
Right.
So that's gonna spoil all their frauds. So all gotta come out one day. Stage of knowing, not guessing. We ain't believing this shit no more. We looking for it. Show it. Show me.
Right. Let's roll that corn. We got some more.
What is the Homestead Act of 1862? The Homestead Act of 1862 was supposed to be this great equalizer. It promised free lands to Americans that was willing to work it. Act was a radical idea of its time. It promised about 160 acres to Americans that was willing to farm it, work it for at least 5 years, and to really build a future. Now, this act became the backbone of American agriculture because it started the wavelength of an abundance of small farms throughout the U.S. Now, with this act, as you can expect, not everybody won. Some families went on to build long-lasting, amazing, thriving farms, and some families suffered with drought, harsh conditions, and economic hardships. Now, of course, with everything good, there's always going to be people who tries to manipulate the system. Well, that happened. Railroads, land speculators, and also big agriculture found a way to manipulate the system, and they were buying up land that was meant for small farmers. Now, over time, this impacted government policies because they began to shift from supporting small farmers to supporting these big agribusinesses. Now, what is the result? We get the majority of our food from just a handful of corporations, and small farmers has completely disappeared from the picture. The promise of the Homestead Act was essentially forgotten. Well, that's where my company, The Woods Hub, comes in. We are an online farmers market that's dedicated to making shopping local more convenient. We're bringing small farmers.
Israel is the most vicious type of settler colonialism. Everything that is wrong with the human civilization, Israel has mastered and institutionalized it. I've never seen a situation where genocidal paradigm or policies and practices are so creatively pursued. What I've discovered there, a vast ecosystem of genocidal methodology, deliberate differential or discriminatory practice, very, very unequal resource distributions, resources that are.
What is settler colonialism? Settler colonialism is a specific form of colonialism characterized by the establishment and perpetuation of settler communities on indigenous lands. It involves the migration and settlement of people from a colonizing power to a new territory, displacing or marginalizing the indigenous inhabitants of that land. Unlike other forms of colonialism that primarily seek to exploit the resources of the colonized territory, settler colonialism aims to create a permanent or long-term presence of settlers who establish their own communities, institutions, and governance structures. Settler colonialism typically involves the assertion of sovereignty and control by the colonizers over the indigenous peoples and their lands.
This is the last phase of European colonization. And notice that the countries that are most strongly in support of Israel are not just the United States. It's the United States, Australia, and Canada, the offshoots of England.
The biggest government welfare program isn't food stamps, it isn't SNAP, it isn't Medicare, it isn't Medicaid, it isn't even Social Security. It's free land to white people. It was called the Homestead Act. Come, let's do our homework. What were the Homestead Acts? They were a series of acts from the federal government in the United States meant to encourage settlement of the plains areas and the Wild West. Because we all know in Colonialism 101, the first step is to acquire land. The second step is to occupy it. So just because you made the Louisiana Purchase and you officially own all of this land, if your people aren't on it, then how is it really yours? This moment in American history is often romanticized in shows like Little House on the Prairie, Godless, Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, and of course in favorite films like Dances with Wolves. Now, there were 4 major Homestead Acts. The first one was the Donation Land Claim Act of 1850. Now, this happened right after the United States got a lot of land from the Mexican-American War. The second one was the Homestead Act of 1862. This was right after the southern states seceded from the Union, and President Lincoln signed this act into law, encouraging people to settle land out west, particularly the Plains states. The Homestead Act of 1862 was responsible for the biggest expansion of settlement in the United States. Then, of course, we had the 40 acres and a mule deal of 1865, which was meant to be reparations. And interestingly enough, this is the only one that did not benefit white people, and it's the only one that was rescinded. Isn't that curious? Then, of course, you have the Southern Homestead Act of 1866, and we'll get into that in a minute. Now, the first one, the Donation Land Claim Act of 1850. It was meant to encourage people from the eastern United States to head west and settle this parcel of land up here called the Oregon Territory. It granted people 320 acres per person. And if you were a couple, it would give you up to 640 acres. It's a huge bit of land. It was offered to white settlers only, specifically. So if you were black or indigenous, you were not involved with this deal at all. And of course, one of the biggest downfalls of this was it encroached on native lands. So even though this territory was officially the United States at this point, nobody was out here. This was just the Wild West. So this was native tribes living their lives. And as white people started moving over from the east out to the west, taking over, encroaching on people that were already living there and didn't care if Spain sold land to the Americas on paper because that was their home. One thing it did allow finally was for women to be landowners, but it was repealed in 1855. Now in 1862, we have the Homestead Act. This, interestingly enough, was championed by Andrew Johnson when he was in the Senate. Then he came on to be Lincoln's vice president, and it was signed by Lincoln in 1862. It offered you 160 acres of land, free and clear, if you could improve it. So you had to live on the land, farm it, and stay there, improve it for 5 years. This is covered in Little House on the Prairie. That's what they were doing. It encouraged you to move to the Plains states, sort of the middle of the country, and set up farms. It was
Gonna run the whole thing, Rob. I got a couple of questions off of that, the Homestead Act and how they ran this game. So I noticed when they ran the Homestead Act, it's a movie about I don't know if you've seen it, it's called Bucky and the Preacher. You ever seen Bucky and the Preacher?
Yeah.
Remember when Bucky was like a middleman between them, the Homestead Act, and getting these Native Americans who were the Nubians ran off their land. They was getting them making them go west, the Ku Klux Klans. And then the people that did stay and got to the land, they would sabotage they crops, so they couldn't pay, and then they would have to sell their land anyway. So could you go in on the robbery of the Homestead Act and the push west, Rod, and all the games they were running?
We did a whole thing on this already. But remember we talked about squatters' rights?
Yeah.
The Homestead Act was the squatter right.
I do tape on squatter rights.
Right. The squatter rights is tied to eminent domain.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The red lining is the outlining the plot of territory that you making the stake in your claim to.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm. Once you redline it, then the government approve it, then you white line it. Now it's yours.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's the same that they use eminent domain in the inner city when they want to build a mall on your house.
Mm-hmm. Eminent domain.
Right. That's still part of squatters' rights.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Remember, she said bought from the Spanish, but she meant the French.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because she's talking about the Louisiana Purchase and the Louisiana Territory.
Yeah, it's bought from the French. The French bought it from the Spanish. That's essentially. Right. That's what they tell us. Yeah.
Oh, I think they won it in a conflict from the Spanish.
Okay. Okay.
But then the Spanish still held the Mexico territory.
Okay.
Right. So that's right on the other side of French territory. The French was fighting a war with the tribes that make up the Louisiana territory all the way going into Canada. These tribes, offensive, fought them to a conflict, and the French took over Fort Nola, which is Fort New Orleans. or the Fort of Orleans. And when they took it over, they signed a treaty ceasefire agreement with the tribal council that gave the French the protectorate responsibility if they disarmed their military from fighting against the French.
Yeah, the barracks.
Right. Now, when Chief Pontiac fought the French in Detroit and Toussaint fought them in Haiti, they lost two major conflicts. They out of the game. They out of the war. So now they sell their protectorate rights to the English that's coming from the New England territories. But during this time, they still in conflict with the Confederacy tribes in the South that's coming from the Iroquois Nation and the Seminole tribes that was named by the colonizer. But those Seminole tribes was making resistance to the presence of those English tribes, trying to tell them how to run the South. And people in the South is that way right now. They don't mind you coming, but can't tell them how to run it. Southern hospitality, baby.
Make sure you speak we always speak in the South and the North. They don't, like in New York, they ain't like that. But down South, we always train to, hey, you say hello, something, speak when you come in somebody's house. It's a part of the manners down South. Yeah. I got some more, Roy, because we ain't gonna go, but I see you kind of tired. We're gonna go about 30 more. I'm gonna take some questions from the crowd. Let me go ahead and just roll the rest of these clips so I can get them in, and then we'll take a couple more questions. We'll get out of here. Let me roll these clips. This one right here, I gotta roll this.
The case for citizenship for Creek freedmen made its way to the Muskogee Creek Nation Supreme Court. Thanks for joining us at 6. I'm TJ Eckert.
I'm Naomi Kitt. I listened to both sides today and heard from freedmen descendants who say citizenship is their birthright.
Our true identity as citizens.
Ron Graham is the chairman of the Muskogee Creek Freedmen Coalition. As a freedman descendant, he brought more than 24 people together to watch the Muskogee Creek Nation Supreme Court hearing. He says his dad was on the freedman roll.
He lived that way. He went to the stomp dances. He spoke Creek.
He says citizenship into the tribe is his birthright, and that's what attorneys for Rhonda Grayson
Yeah, it was a real
say
Creek.
too.
That's why.
The pair applied for citizenship in 2019, but were denied. Their attorneys argue citizenship is guaranteed to the freedmen through the Treaty of 1866. That's between the tribe and the U.S. government.
The treaty is paramount, and it is the supreme law of the land.
Attorneys for the Muskogee Creek Nation Citizenship Board argue
there's actually a connection between the displacement of freed slaves and the displacement of Native Americans. And in many respects, the federal government uses the Reconstruction South as a template, as a blueprint to sort of think about this age-long question of dealing with Native American resettlement.
The Freedmen's Bank was an economic hit job to destroy the remaining wealth of Aboriginals.
What's wrong with Israel?
Israel is the Jewish state.
I ain't gonna play the rest of these. We're gonna play the rest of these. But the Freedmen's Bureau, Rod, once I noticed they ran this after the Civil War, and they try to say this when they came out with the slave narrative and try to say that if y'all take this deal for the 40 acres and a mule and reclassify as blacks instead of Indians, we'll give you 40 acres and a mule. But they never came through with that deal. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people lost their birthrights because of their own paperwork, because they signed up for this deal thinking they was gonna get this acres and never did get it. But they became free mans now, or coloreds, free coloreds. What is your take on that? The 40 acres and a mule, and then it being 22 million Native Americans over here that could have claimed that, and they didn't have that many mules, and they damn sure didn't have that many acres. He only had like what 4,000 acres or something. The general that was trying to do this shit. What's your take on that, Rod?
The history of the 40 acres and a mule go back to field general by the name of Sherman.
Yeah, that's right. That's his name. Go ahead, Rod.
General Sherman overthrew a colony of so-called slaveholders. I think it was in Virginia. It could have been in North Carolina, but don't quote me on that. But it ain't hard to look up. But anyway, they had confiscated the plantation lands, broke it up among the people that was on the land already into 40-acre plots.
Right.
And they told them that if it get approved, that the government would provide them the resources to get a mule to work the land.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the thing that stick out to the story to me is the people on the land don't have to leave the land.
Right.
But it's divided up into plots by the field general. The same way the Dawes Roll is dividing up land in Indian territory in plots.
Right.
Right? So that means that the people they liberated was actually the people who lived on the land that was the plantation.
Right.
Now, what happened was when it came up to be ratified, it was shot down by the Senate, and the government confiscated the land. The legend drew 40 acres and a mule from the field orders of General Sherman.
That's right.
And it just became a standard battle cry for like black cotton. You know, listen to what Pac said at the beginning of Black Cotton for the rewardless struggle. Just struggling for nothing. No reward. So somebody got to figure out how to turn it around. Because if you remember who you is, you got to have some kind of jurisdictional say-so in the whole fiasco that's taking place. You just got to remember how to use the oral tradition of the tribes to put it in the public domain so all of the other people from different tribes get an opportunity to hear it with a reasonable expectation of reaching 1,000 people in the time-stamped archival format. Right? So once it's out there, they know we know. We don't have to go knock on their door. It's their responsibility to adhere to the rules of the game.
Right.
So now they got to give it all back.
Right.
Now they got to make a big compelling spectacle right before they give it back. Quintessential Superman story.
That's right. Hey, I'm gonna ask my last question. Hey, y'all drop your questions in the chat. I'll post them on the screen for the chief before we get up out of here. We got about a couple minutes. Hey, Chief, what you think about this, man? It seems like to me now that I've been studying for so long, or what's been the timeline, that's what's happening to our people. It seems like these suckers never gave up. Like when we tried to say, all right, man, we don't want to fight no more. We'll give you this. You can stay right here. You know, start your own little thing. We ain't got no problem with you. They aren't satisfied with it. We make a treaty with them. The next 2 weeks, they come bomb us or rob us or something. It's like they never stop fucking with us. What's up with this? What's up with that?
That's because they declared war on us. We did declare war on them. So when we inviting them in, we coming from what's called the true place, coming from the heart. Come in, my brother. Eat, sleep, relax, get healthy.
Yeah.
Keep it moving. Right?
Yeah.
And they come in and take your kindness for weakness and say, I'm going to take his throne.
Yeah.
You're supposed to look like the asshole when somebody feels that they deserve the throne that you built with your blood, sweat, and tears, and they expect you to be easy to move out the way. It's not going to happen.
That's cold.
They got the nature of royalty mixed up with pussy. They not the same. You can't be an ass-kissing king or you won't be able to hold on to your kingdom.
Go ahead.
Right? You can't be an impotent emperor because then you won't be potent in your production among your perilous people. So you got to be able to hold your position. Right is right and wrong is wrong. Try to stand in the position to right and tell the truth. You always on guard, shielded by the truth. Right?
Right.
So you got
Right.
something to fight back with.
Somebody said, how do we reclaim the land and birthrights without using the claim Moors? Even as Indian, they had to attach the name Moor, like Washita Moore or MUU Moore.
Most of the paperwork don't have that on there.
Yeah, it don't.
When you trace your family back, you're gonna run into a dead end in the mid 1800s, like most of us do. But you could then use the tribal mapping system to ask what tribe populated this area, right? And now you get into the course of what tribal land needs to act for in your family name, because they still got it recorded.
Yeah, that's right.
They just didn't give it to us, so we don't know. They got all of the information. They know who all of us is, down to the snotty nosed grandbabies.
Hey, Rod, you heard anything about that account with the man that had the incident with the dolphin? I've been hearing about that. I hadn't looked into it yet. Down in Florida.
Yeah. That was a metaphysical phenomenon, I tell you. But dolphins had to find a way to keep him alive while they had him building the structure underwater.
Somebody said, question, Trump supposedly signed the executive order, the American rights to quantum healing in May, ushering in the med beds. How do we proceed and discredit this new technology when we are light beings? About the med beds, he asked about the med beds and that he said that Trump signed the quantum healing bill, I guess. You heard anything about that, Rod?
Yeah. So when you asked him about
shout out to Empress, as always, the Empress. My bad, the Empress. Go ahead, Rod.
She asked about the med bed rollout. And she said, how do we proceed and discern the new technology? The technology not new. It's Atlantean technology they discovered it when they went under the ice in Antarctica. When they discovered it, they was being telepathically told how to use it. First to bring cryostatic patients, which is people that's been frozen, out of cryostasis without ruining their blood. Without the blood crystallizing and rupturing the cells that's caused frostbite. Right? So they had to teach them how to do that, teach them what chemicals to inject them with before they freeze them. That's why that technology, it's been around since Walt Disney put himself in cryostasis. At least since then. That was in like the 60s or something.
Yep. I heard about the 50s. I heard about it. They went back to the 50s. They was working on it. 53 with Hitler now, and the Project Paperclip. They was already working on it when Hitler and them came. Before Hitler and them came over here, they was already working on it, and they just brought finished it up when they came over. The Project Paperclip.
The Third Reich, when the Third Reich became part of the Intelligence Department of the United States, and it became part of the Department of Science and War. And America financed the Third Reich expedition to Antarctica.
Right.
And they did it under the pretense of NASA surveying Antarctica.
Yep. Project High Jump. Go ahead, Rod.
NASA was put together by the scientists collected from Germany's what's that field? Is it I can't think of the word right now. The technology wing of his research and development, and they the ones who set up NASA.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why NASA was able to continue the Nazi research, even into the what we call paranormal.
That's right.
Right. And then they was
Okay.
able to use government resources through the Central Intelligence Agencies, Black Operations.
Yep, MK Ultra. Hey, Rod, I got a question for you, Rod. Before we take this next one, I'm gonna put the next one on the screen. But let me ask you this question first before we go. Hey, Rod, so why you think that they paying it that we pay is well, United States Corps is paying Israel every year because of Project Paperclip, and they let them scientists get away with because they were essentially they were tracking these guys to kill them and have them home, right? But the America gave them a pass and pretty much like cover them from getting all of these war crimes, right? So is that why they paying Israel? Or I mean, that's one reason. I know is that one reason because I know the one reason they paying them for hush money. But do you think they paying them because of that too? Because they pretty much hardened war criminals?
Israel was created by France, Britain, and the United States.
Okay. I see that. I can see that.
The first assembly of the United Nations was in 1945 when they established the United Nations, and it was 3 member states. And the three members was France, Britain, and the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Once they ratified, the first act of unity was to follow through with the Balfour Declaration promise. They had like 10 different places on the planet that they was going to establish the state of Israel.
Interesting.
Yeah, that was when they was doing the survey under the United Nations. They settled on the West Bank because of the discovery of the Saudi oil. The Saudi oil was discovered in the 1930s. When the Saudi oil discovered, they looking back at the Saudi oil's wealth production for the royal families of the Hafiz family or Hafiz family, Faisal family. They looking at the level of pure unadulterated wealth in 100 and something years of oil production, and they only found oil within the last 30 years in Saudi Arabia, and they already filthy rich.
Damn.
They can wipe their ass with $100 bills and won't affect their bottom dollar.
Damn. That makes sense now.
So they selected the West Bank because when they was already being filtered there, because the Palestinians offered them refuge from the rage of Hitler. So they was already going there for refuge, and this is how they understood the value of the oil reserves in what they call Middle East. So in 1948, through military action, the United Nations reinforced or enforced the state of Israel's boundaries and recognized them as a state.
The state, not a republic, right? Because not like they got, not a republic. That's the difference.
It's the state of Israel. It's really just a city state, like the Vatican.
Right.
But it's a political tool used to steer the narrative and keep control of the narrative about the delusional aspect of God chosen people. Knowing good and goddamn well God ain't gonna make no people without no place to live when he make them.
Right.
He don't have to promise you a land. You already from a land. The land is only promised to what it bears. It bore us. Mississippi clay dirt, walking.
That's right.
We walk around the embodiment of the life of the land. Telling you who we is, but you telling us we crazy, and I'm laughing all the way to the bank.
Right.
And as long as they think we crazy and we steady telling the truth and they getting the chance to hear it, when they see what we've been saying all along, that snaps them out of the stupidity instantly.
Mm.
Then they start singing, I've been a fool for you.
Yeah, we got their ass there. Somebody said, are Caucasian people an actual weapon created by reptilians as a tactic of war across the planet?
No, they didn't. So we really, in a genetic sense, we they big brothers.
Right. Go ahead, Rod.
We slapping their ass around and they fighting back. And we got our other big brothers, the Dirty Moors, that's helping them by holding their gloves while they punching us in the face.
Damn.
And soon as our other big brother realized what's going on, he gonna come in and grab our hand, but goddamn, that nigga ain't getting here fast enough.
Damn.
So big brother using little brother hands to punch you in the face so you think it's the little brother with all the power.
Right. It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense.
Look, you see how curious they want to know, and they studying everything, and they crawling into every crevice of the earth and climbing every tree, topping off every mountain. They curious about the earth because they babies.
Mm-hmm.
We ain't curious because we already did that shit.
Right.
We sit there like that's how we could sit here and see somebody do something. So that's the whitest shit in the world. They babies. We watching the babies learn how to walk, learn how to be civilized. They babies. Right. They just the next expression of the genetic stock of the humanoid species.
Right. One
Earth.
small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. They told us.
But look, before we came out of Atlantis, they was green like us, just a lighter shade.
I can see that.
Some of them was blue like us, but just a lighter shade. Because the silver in the blood used to be at a higher concentration because of the magnesium base of the blood gave us the chlorophyll effect.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
And made us turn shades of green instead of shades of brown. When they tampered with the DNA, they made the body rely on iron synthesis in place of magnesium synthesis. So now, when you interact, and copper and iron makes rust, right? But copper and magnesium makes tarnish, a green tarnish.
Right, we got an green undertone.
So now we all wheat colored.
Yeah.
Everybody in every tribe don't believe the same story about the pale face. Everybody got a different set of governing guidelines as to how we deal with people we interact with. You know, Angel Bay got his customs for his clan, Larry, right? If you see a pale face Crip, he gonna be one of your hardest problems if y'all get in the fight.
Hell yeah.
Same if you see a pale face Blood. Because he gotta be able to rump with them on their terms.
Right.
And he become one of them. and they gonna ride with him because they know he gonna put in that work with them. They ain't got to worry about when the drama go down, is he gonna be there? They already know he gonna set it off.
Right.
Because he been tested so much, that's how he got to be one of them.
Right.
Earned his way in. Now you got people just put on the colors and call themselves something, and they ain't getting checked by the mob. That's very dangerous where I'm from.
Right. Hell yeah, where I'm from too. Damn sure is.
It's called false flagging.
Damn sure is. Hey, bro, somebody said, have you seen heard about the meteorite that hit Ohio?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just not hearing about that.
Yeah. That wasn't no meteorite, though. I was, I mean, that wasn't no, yeah, it was a meteor, wasn't not a meteor, a satellite is what it really was. It was a defense satellite.
Uh-huh.
We got shot down by the Anunnaki.
I can see that now. I can see that. I'm gonna go look into this shit after the show. Hey, what's your take on Jasmine? Somebody said, what's your take on Jasmine Crockett's bodyguard getting took out or deleted? You know anything about that, Rod?
He was a convicted felon he had high rank clearance. She gave it to him. But shit, how long was he out, you know? But they say he was even catching cases while he was doing her security. I'm like, what the hell?
Right.
I don't know, man. That's some corny shit to me. I don't know a lot about it. I know enough to know that that's some weirdo shit. The way that they bringing it out, anyway. Remember, somebody is trying to control the narrative.
Right.
Keep asking yourself over and over again, if they controlling the narrative, what is they trying to direct me to see? Right. Every time you see something, ask yourself that. Then ask yourself two more questions. What if this is real?
Right. Right.
And then what if ain't none of this shit real?
Right.
And that keep you from being subjugated by the paradigm. You can see clearer now. Because now you got a triangulation of thought to catch the patterns to show you proper guidance.
Right.
You got to program yourself by keep asking yourself them questions every time you encounter something. What is it trying to show me? What if it's true? What if ain't none of this shit true? What do it mean if all of the above is correct?
Say somebody got go ahead, Chief. Go ahead. Yeah, somebody said shout out to damn, my glasses fogging up like shit so small I can't even read it. It says hey, shout out to brother, it says Chief, I'm confused. Are we Anunnakis or are we results of them creating a species to mine gold for them or what?
Okay, go back to the Anunnaki stories. When the Anunnaki came to Earth, it was some people already here.
That's right.
We the ones that was already here. They refer to us as the Earthborn. Right?
Right.
And because they refer to us as the Earthborn, we are actually the incarnated spirits of the earth. And that's why we always come back when we need to fix something on Earth. The human species is the apex of all species of the planet, what we call highest form intelligent being. Now, some of the families of the Earthborn had children with the families of the Skywalkers, the Anunnaki.
Genesis chapter 6. Go ahead, Rod.
The ones that they became their offspring was weird in their appearance on Earth. They said they had grotesque appearance.
Yep, some of them, yep.
Right. So they also carried the gigantism trait. You look at the jawline of somebody with gigantism, and if they had a Habsburg chin, they would look horrendous.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to remember, some of them was born with 2 rows of teeth, top and bottom.
Terus, go ahead.
Right. So they amalgamated these things is in the genome.
6 fingers. Go ahead.
Right. Now, then something else happens. Somebody go in the laboratory and begin tampering with people making test tube babies. These test tube babies was being improperly disposed of, creating a burden on the planet. They was disposing of them in the carcasses, what we call the Grimaldi Trail, right? The Grimaldi Trail teaches you about the migration that they say out of Africa begun going up through Europe into the Grimaldi Hills. I think it's in somewhere in France, right? So now they disposing of these babies. The guardian wolves of the earth is suckling them to keep them alive.
Yeah, we heard about this, the Remus and Wolf story. Go ahead.
And that's where you get your Romulus and Remus story of the Roman Empire.
That.
Okay, now we know that the first university in Europe was established on the island of Crete somewhere around 300 and something BC.
Mm-hmm.
We also know that when those were, Kemet was in a massive decline from prominence and power, struggling against Rome. So we know that's taking place at the same time, right? So we know the power structure is going to find itself being transferred somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the continuation of Babylon through the Roman Empire. So when they set up the universities in Crete, that gave birth to the Hellenistic civilization, right? Named after the goddess Hela. Hela is the one you see on the beginning of the Thor movie, Ragnarok, that crushes Thor's hammer with her bare hands. Because she the rightful heir. She the one with the true power of the guardian of the earth. This is why we know we raised the matriarchy, based on backtracking the information.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, once you get that understood, then you see why they kept trying to tell us to look for a man to come as Jesus Christ, your Lord and Savior, when they ain't tell you that Jesus is ISIS.
Right.
They tell you about Epistis Sophia, but they don't tell you that Sophia is Mary. They telling you the story like 3 different generations called grandma something different.
Yeah.
One set of grandkids call her grandma, right? The
Big
other
mom.
one call her Grammy.
Yeah.
And then the next one come in and call her mama. All of them valid, calling her the same thing from their generation, no perspective. And this is how you get Mary separated from Isis, because Isis is the name of the seat. The seat is called Auset. Right? That's the name of the seat. That's the jurisdictional throne.
Right.
The pharaoh sits on the throne, represented by the pineal gland in the queen's chamber. So if the throne is in the queen's chamber, whose throne is it?
Go ahead.
It's the queen mother throne, right? It's your pineal gland tying you into higher consciousness, because that's where the queen's chamber is in your brain, right? So now it got to go through the cycles to get into the queen's chamber. These cycles is a spiral called a chakra that sits in the position of the brain, regulated by a part of the brain called anterior gyrus, right here. When you have a psychic experience, you can feel the energy coming in like a whirlwind through the anterior gyrus, right here. Your mother brain. That's why your mother's DNA is always in all of you children as mitochondria. The prominent children's mother has to get a host for her sons so she can transition and come back as one of her grandbabies in the cycles of life.
Hey, bro, I got a quick question for you when you say that. Like, I noticed, like, in my life coming up, that when I got with a girl and I stayed with them for a while and we made love, that eventually she started having some of my mother's traits, even though that she never even met some of them would never met my mother in person. Before they even met my mother in person, they would have some of my mother's traits once they were with me for so long. Hey, is that like some kind of scientific thing or something, Rod?
Yeah, that's when they go into evaluation. They don't, most of the time they don't want to meet your mother, because if they sincere, because they want to see if she can connect to your mother through you from her heart. They frequency got to be exactly 100% unconditional love. If conditions there, the relationship will falter and buckle and fade away. Mama didn't accept her. But the one that lasts the longest and love you the same unconditional, match the frequency, your mama can talk to her like I'm talking to you right now, never seeing her face to face. I know, because they did it on me.
Yeah, it happened to me too. Is what you saying? Everything that happened. That's why I'm calling it out. Hey, y'all, this is what I want y'all to do, man. Everybody hit that like, hit that subscribe button right now. We got about 1,500 people on, man. Look here. Everybody shout out the super chat, man. Hey, everybody that's in the super chat, send Chief something right now. We got 1,500 people on. Everybody send Chief $5 right now, all 1,500 people. If you can't do that, send them $1 on Cash App or PayPal. We got both of them. Shout out my guys in London. They be hooking the Chief up. The guy Dietrich. Shout out to guy Dietrich in London. Yeah, everybody hit that like, hit that subscribe button, man. Show the Chief some love to the next time we come on, so we can keep him on the game, man. We got to keep Chief on the game. He pretty much sit back and keep an eye on these guys as they go down. We already downhill now. If y'all can't tell, we already downhill now. All the little kids, nobody ain't going no more for this game they've been selling us the whole time. Ain't nobody going no more, man. Everybody know the truth now. Just about little kids. What you think, bro? Little kids saying, I heard a little kid saying, man, like my son, he'll tell you he ain't no African. I ain't no African, man.
That's because they more self-aware than we was. And they understand now that there's more value in speaking up than being silent about it. When in the bygone era, it was more beneficial to stay silent and stay out the way. We ain't in that era no more. We in the era where we telling the motherfucker exactly the truth, and if they don't like it, they gonna get their feelings hurt. But it ain't our fault, because we ain't the ones told you to live in the lie.
Right.
We get mad at the $5 Indians. Remember, a lot of them reservation Indians really believe they from over here in their heart of hearts.
So do.
Because they don't feel no different from being over in Siberia to them. because the love for the land is the same. Then the ones that ceremonial tribes, they got the protection of the tribe that they ceremonial too. That's so you can send the ones that don't look like us to do something on the behalf of us. Turn about being fair play. They did it to us, and we can do it to them.
Pale face, man. You think, hey, yeah, Rod, the Curtis Act. I forgot to ask you about the Curtis Act. I got a clip in here on it. But the Curtis Act was essentially where the Louisiana Purchase land, which is what Oklahoma was a part of, where they ragged everybody into all the leftover Indians they had conquered that was up after the Louisiana Purchase. They rolled them into under federal jurisdiction. And then pretty much if you was in that land in Oklahoma where all the oil was, and you was a black Indian, essentially, they try to say we black Indians, but if you was a Native American to that land, a Native Indian to that land, they ran you under federal jurisdiction. If you had our color, you became black, and you pretty much technically what they did is artificial person does, and under artificial person under federal jurisdiction, you can't own shit. You a ward. So they pretty much, the Curtis Act is pretty much transfer Indians, natives, to awards of the state, and then gave a land to white folks, free white mans, under this new thing. What's your take on that, Rod? The Curtis Act. Go ahead.
Remember, one of the statuses is foreign dependent nations.
Okay.
That mean the government got to nurse them off their titty like they're their baby. Now, we still talking about squatters' rights. We talking about the usufruct agreement. Capturing the land until the rightful heirs show up to claim it. They get a benefit for staking the claim on your land. Under the usufruct agreement, they levy the lien. Right? That's their squatters' right. To lay claim and seize the territories of the enemy. The enemy of the United States is the 9 treaty outlaw tribes refusing to do business with the corporations.
Right.
At the same time, the corporation is trying to expand its corporate empire westward.
Incorporate them.
Right. So it went in phases. They didn't just get from New England states to California in 90 days. It took a couple hundred years.
Right.
So first they had to get the Louisiana territory under the Louisiana Purchase. Right. Then they had to turn around and fight with the Mexican army, the Spanish Mexican army, in order to get California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, right? Because all that was Spanish Mexico, right? So now that they've annexed it, that's what they call it. That means I took that shit. Okay, when they annexed it, Texas kept its right to be able to segment into 5 different countries if it chooses to split the Lone Star State. They got a unique quality to their constitution that give them more say over Texas than the federal government have over Texas. Okay, now, America won that at the conclusion of the Mexican-American War. Right. So then they went on to proceed to California. So that was all part of, as they moved westward, they had to occupy the territory, and the people that they given squatters' rights is agents of occupation for the legal fiction that's pretending to be the government.
And then all they did is franchise the states, incorporated Oklahoma state and made it a state. and start creating these federal guidelines. Go ahead, Rod. That makes sense.
So they did it all across the country, all the way till they got to the what they call Oregon Territory to get Washington and Oregon, British Columbia, and all that shit settled.
Yeah.
Right now, all of the survival jobs you see on the West Coast, the Alaska fishermen, the longshore crabsmen that go fishing for the king crab, those were the tribes' jobs when they got there. That's what the tribes of that area was already doing. They got displaced in war. So they replaced them with the people you see doing it now over time.
Yeah, I can see that. That make a lot of sense. Hey, y'all, hit that. Go ahead, Rod.
You can't occupy a territory if you don't have a man there.
Yeah,
it's not an occupation at that point.
Yeah.
Right, that's a siege. You can only stop the border. You can't deal with the inside. You got to deal with the border. That's a siege. Occupation, you in the city with us. Pretending to be part of our system.
Yeah.
Calling yourself the police, the judge, the prosecutor, the attorney. All of them working for a foreign agency, refusing to disclose the fraudulent nature of their profession to the public at large, because they don't want us to ever realize that they artificially usurping our freedoms by stealing our rights to have rights.
Yeah, I saw already. Yeah.
Yeah, the systematic deterioration of our sovereign rights diminishes all of us. But when we realize where they, the way that they structured, it's a war.
Right.
They Constitution in 13th, 14th Amendment tell you that they can make you a slave if they convict you of a felony.
Right.
Slave patrol became the police.
Right.
So then who did these judges come from?
Right.
They come from the old wig-wearing barristers. Now here go the irony of that. The barrister in England is the ones wearing the wool wigs like they used to wear in early America, right? But the I lost my train of thought.
You said barristers in England with the white wigs.
Yeah. So the attorneys and the prosecutors, they not called attorneys over there. They call advocates, that's your prosecutor, and devil's advocate is your defense attorney.
Right.
Right. The devil mean enemy. So they telling the person, I'm your enemy's advocate, pretending to represent you.
Yeah. Represent you as an artificial person. Yeah. They represent you as an artificial guy or a ward of the state. Go ahead.
But they all working for the crown of England. The fact that they're not registered under the Trading with the Enemies Act make them become a belligerent, hostile, occupying force.
That's a fact, bro.
Once it's put out in the public domain and it's a valid assessment, then it's up to the military to shut that shit down because they fake it.
They all administrative, operating off of fruits of a poisonous tree.
That's the prison industrial complex. Human capital. Auctioning off your hourly labor.
10 cents. Paying them brothers 10 cents a week, man. That's crazy, bro. Pay a brother 15 cents a day and they making $300-400 off a brother.
Look, if the inmates quit working in the joint shut down. If they had to hire outside people, they couldn't afford to have that many prisons.
Right. Right? That makes sense.
Inmates in Jackson, Michigan sued to have a prisoners workers union back in, I think it was like 81, 83, somewhere up in there, and won. The only problem is they never formed a union.
They never enforced it. God damn. That's cold. I bet it was somebody, a black hand, in the stopping them from putting that together, though. Bet you did.
Look, the corpus juris secundum defined the slave as defined by the wages.
Yeah.
Poverty wages is the direct ratio to the poverty line of income, which is the base minimum income one person could survive off in a 12-month period successfully or on average.
Right.
Right. So once they assess that, they say, okay, then they set the minimum wage, which is the minimum amount you can make, and you will be right at the poverty line. That's the poverty line. Anything less than minimum wage is called a slave's wage. Slave's wages used to only be reserved for waitresses and similar staff, dancers and shit, who primarily rely on tips.
Hey, we got a couple people asking this. We'll take this last question, Chief, then we'll get out of here. There's like 3 people that asked this same question. And I think I had already asked you this question on a couple takes back. But they say, Chief, what do you keep check on the national debt and the national debt clock, and what's your take on that?
Sometimes I look at it because it'll come up in my timeline and it'll have a coded message and I instantly spot it. But on the general, I don't just look at it because I'm not focused on the financial aspect of what I'm doing as much as I would be if I was doing this as a hustle.
And really, the debt ain't our debt. That's what they owe us. That's what Rod said. That's what they owe us.
Yeah. Who else they in debt to?
Right?
Like, can anybody tell me who they in debt to, who they supposed to be in debt to? If they ain't in debt to the tribes of the land, who they in debt to?
Right.
We the ones getting taxed into oblivion. Who they in debt to? It's our money that they supposed to be spending. Who in the fuck is they in debt to?
Right.
We the ones footing the bill every time Congress pass one. Who do that say that money belong to? So when we come in to collect, they don't got it. They gonna give you back what's yours, telling you, okay, I'm gonna give it to you here. You can have it. You can have it all. You goddamn right I can. It's my shit. Tell me I can have mine. I know it's mine. Run that.
That's like somebody stealing your shit and you come to somebody rob you for your shit and then you rob them back and they get mad that you robbing them back for your own shit. That's psychotic, man.
Yeah, see, people
Why
be
you
having
robbing me, man?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They be having the game twisted.
Yeah. That shit crazy as hell. That shit crazy.
They
Motherfucker,
want to
man.
do something to you and don't want you to do nothing about it.
Yeah.
You got the wrong
should
one,
be
buddy.
happy.
You
This
got the
ain't the
wrong
Martin Luther King,
one.
but
Yeah, you got the wrong one. Come up here fucking around with me, you gonna find out.
hey, people talk about the Martin Luther King bunch, but during that same time, the 60s, the Black Panthers didn't really take no shit neither. Huey P. didn't take no shit neither. They was with it, man, you know. They was with that action. They just got infiltrated so bad, it was like, you know, they got infiltrated so crazy. They was the number one focus right at that point of infiltration.
Look, the Panthers was some G's. They was some stand-up mofos.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had a couple church groups out of Texas and Louisiana that was some badasses too.
Huh.
They was deacons, but they carried them shotguns.
Yeah, the Deacons of Defense. That's what they call, right?
That's one of the groups.
Deacons of Defense. Yeah, that's kind of like the
Yeah.
Black Panthers, but like yeah, that's right.
They is their own group. You gotta remember, man, we always figured out a way to defend ourselves.
Right.
But sometimes defending yourself means understanding the nature of the struggle that you're struggling through.
Right.
Because you might be struggling in the wrong direction from freedom and directly into the flames of oppression.
Right.
So you got to understand the whole problem enough where you can see the exit. If you can't see the exit, sit your ass down. But you see the exit, you got to show people the light. I know it looks like that's some real shit over there, but I'm telling you, the closer you get, it's gonna fade away. That's an illusion. Just here's some real shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, another thing, hey, so a couple of announcements what we got here. But hey, Rod, have we had any updates on Larry Hoover getting out?
We haven't heard nothing on it. But you know, it's one of the things that whether he in there or not, until we see it, we don't believe it.
Right.
It's been a while since I had anybody look into it because the last time we looked into it, we couldn't find them in no system.
I heard that he ain't influenced no more. They said he ain't influenced no more. They've been looking it up. That he ain't influenced.
Yeah, he's not in Florence. He's supposed to be in Illinois somewhere.
And then we haven't heard any upgrades on Doc yet. We've been keeping our ear to the thing. So we hadn't even heard any I don't know what they waiting on Doc. They got all the paperwork. It's just I think these people, it's
That's
some people
that's the perfect example, Elder, when I tell you you can be right with all of the paperwork to show you right. But if they don't want to grant you no relief, they'll act like you don't have all that right, correct information.
Damn.
They'll ignore you.
Man.
They don't want you exposing their fraud.
Right.
They was having a whole all that sheriff seals in them.
Yeah.
They was using the film crew on the strategies of taking down Dr. York.
I know it. Yeah.
That means it's documented when they came up with the plan.
Yeah, it is. I got the film. I got part of the film where she'll say that Jacob York came to him and he gave him all of what they needed. Right. That's what I got the tape on it. I got the clips.
Yeah.
Right.
They the
Hey, what
ones
about Jeff Ford? You heard anything about that? Yeah.
I haven't heard nothing about him. Last thing I heard about him is when they had rushed him to the hospital, but I haven't heard nothing since then.
So we don't know that if he made it all right, he's all right out of that.
I'm inclined to believe he's all right because the brother's strong.
We hadn't heard he died. Yeah, that's right. We haven't heard that.
He's strong as a pack of wolves.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's just tired. He's been locked up so goddamn long. I'd be tired too.
Yeah, man. Damn. And then that's crazy. That's crazy, man. Do you got any before we get out of here, do you got any message for the female chiefs and what they should be doing now on the land as far as handling the children and everything?
If you can, try to make arrangements to set up mother groups to take the children out of public school and do it all home-based privately within the controlled environment. Because what they got planned, it ain't looking good. But if they about to run out of time to get it all done, so we're about to see.
Right. All right, man. That does it. Hey, y'all, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Everybody, before you get out of here. Everybody send Chief $5 if you haven't. Send him 10 if you can. Hey, man, all my high rollers, send them 100. Put them all in the game, man. Somebody send them a couple C notes, man. Put them all in the game so you can get some peanut butter and bologna sandwiches, man, until we get back up in here next time. We gonna be back, though. We gonna keep y'all updated. We got shit coming out every day, man. We non-stop tearing the dragon apart limb by limb. Every goddamn day, we on his ass. We on the beast every day, man. We beating the beast every day. I'm telling you, man. We beating his ass every day. We about to get up out of here, y'all. Stay tuned. We'll be back, y'all. One love, one heart, divine love throughout the boundless universe. To all. Wadu.
Wadu.
Never have it been made so clear.